So this is supposed to be some sort of sailing channel. I like to think that one thing that makes my channel different than others is that I bring to the channel my entire career of or history of my career here as working as a merchant mariner. Today I'm coming to you from work. I'm the captain of a 4,200 horse ocean-going tug, and we're presently working in the Caribbean. Those that are familiar with my other channel, Tim B at Sea, will know all about that. But I'm coming to you, I'm trying to appeal to you today to have you guys understand, those of you that are sailboat owners, specifically sailboats, because what I'm talking about doesn't apply as much to power boaters, because there aren't a lot of power boaters that are out in the middle of the ocean. But I have to warn you, I don't think you guys understand the capabilities of radar. And you know, something else that I wanted to talk about was that you got to stop with the excuses. And I know this sounds really hard, and I shouldn't yell at the people that watch my channel, but just follow with me here for a second. Assuming that you're somebody that is crossing oceans, or maybe sailing down to the islands, or maybe you're just a coastal cruiser but have an outstanding boat. Most of you guys aren't doing that with boats that are valued less than, say, $100,000. I know there are people out there that go to sea in a bathtub, and I don't know why they do that. But anyway, the majority of you out there are going to sea with something $100,000 and up into the multi-millions of dollars. The reason why I say stop with the excuses are, a lot of times we justify one thing in our life and we say we need to buy this, and we don't care how much it costs. But then when it comes to other things, especially concerning safety and stuff like that, we say, you know what, we'll save a little nickel and dime here and that sort of stuff. And when I say stop with the excuses, I'm telling you guys, and I'm going to explain this, so just bear with me, all right? I'm telling you, those of you that have a boat and sail oceans, go down to the islands, go anywhere, and you don't have AIS, or maybe the ones that don't have AIS, that's really bad. But a lot of you have been fooled, and I don't even think it's a possibility anymore, because if you buy it now, I don't even think they make just AIS receivers, and I don't even believe they should. But here's the thing. If you have bought an AIS receiver, in other words, you're not transmitting your location, that's great as long as you're looking at it all the time. If you have an AIS transponder, then you also increase the odds that somebody else is watching out for you, that you're not only watching out for them. All right, let me stop this and get back to the point of the video. Hello and welcome, I'm Tim and this is SV Paquita. Come along almost every week, whenever I get a chance to post a video, and follow along as I try to make the transition from being a professional lifelong mariner to cruising a sailboat, mostly offshore, but sometimes in the coastal waters. Right now we're in New England and we're getting ready to go through the Cape Cod Canal and head up towards Maine. Spend the rest of the season in the Gulf of Maine. So come along, strap in, and hope you like it. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about the limitations of radar. Many people that go places, go cross oceans, do all these sorts of traveling, they are under the false idea that as long as you have radar, people are going to see everything. And we have 3 radars on the tug that I work on, and they're very, very good radars and very expensive ARPA radars, state-of-the-art 4-foot, another one's a 5-foot open ray antenna, much better than almost all of the sailboats have out there. Having said that, I think a lot of you, that sounds really bad, I think many people judge the effectiveness of the radar when they're using their own radar in ideal conditions. So in other words, it might be a glass calm day and you start dialing in your radar and you say, look, I can see my buddy's boat. And you call him up and your buddy says, I can see your boat. That's great. Yeah, that is great. That works well, and when it's night or foggy or rainy or snowy or any of those things happen, that'll be fine, as long as it's flat calm out. And to illustrate what I'm trying to say, most of the boats that I see out here that are you know I are a potential hazard for me are usually made out of fiberglass. And fiberglass doesn't reflect radar as well as, say, metal does. So when you check to see how your boat looks on radar on a beautiful flat calm day, be advised that on our radars here, on a flat calm day, not only can I pick up birds, and a lot of fishermen know this, because, you know, like a lot of sport fishing boats will even have a bird mode on their radar, so they pick up birds and they figure where the birds are is going to be where the fish is, and that sort of thing. Anyway, most of those birds don't have any metal on them unless they've been tagged or whatever. And so in order to get a radar signature on a bird, it's very, very difficult unless everything is perfect. The conditions are great. So why am I telling you all this? You probably say, oh, you know all that. Well, down here in the Caribbean and throughout the whole world, but especially down here where we're in the trade winds, I haven't been down here when we've been going inter-island here, where we haven't seen a good 5 to 8 foot all the time. So there's a lot of sea happening, and it's happening all the time. Let me just give you an idea here. I am in Lime Tree Bay, and we're loading over here in St. Croix, and we are in the protected harbor right here. Now, waves never show up that well on camera, but we are way in on a protected harbor, and the wind hasn't even started blowing. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning here, and the wind will really get going this afternoon. But you can see we have a good 2 to 3 foot of swell rolling in here, and we're way in. So outside it's nasty. When we came up here, we got beat up really badly. Where that starts to apply to you guys is that when you assume that you just, look, I don't need a radar reflector, I'm going to show up fine. And even if you have a radar reflector, we see each other. In other words, this is about 105, 110 foot tug. We pull a barge that's over 400 feet long. So another tug and barge and, you know, a 1,200 foot container ship, we see those on radar just fine. But they're metal, and they're high, and they're big, and they're way above the waves. Those are all things that most of you guys are not. So when it gets nasty, and when I say when it gets nasty, when it's normal down here, the odds of us, even with our superior radars to yours, of seeing things, there's and you know, there's a whole thing about adjusting your radar from the gain to the sea clutter, and then there's a rain filter in there as well. I would tend to guess that most of you guys have that set on automatic, and you know what? That really does well when the conditions are right. But when the conditions are nasty and it's out there, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to be able to see you. Like I say, you can be in a 40 or 50 foot sailboat, fiberglass sailboat, sailing along, and you will throw a return when you're at the top of the wave and I'm at the top of the wave. The problem is all the other tops of the waves are going to throw similar returns as well. So when that happens, we have to turn our sea clutter down, to the point that we see you, but have it up enough that we try not to see the waves. And that works really well when the seas are a lot less. But what it is around here, it's very hard to see you guys. So I'm not trying to tell you we can't see you. I'm just saying that, well, let me try to do this a different way. In aviation, apparently pilots have something they call the big sky theory, and that's that it's a big sky, the odds of hitting somebody are very low. And So I'm sure that all of us out here have this big ocean theory, especially when you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't see land anywhere. And look, I don't want to put myself in a position that would suggest that I do anything dangerous, but it would be silly for anybody who spends their life at sea in a commercial sense to say they haven't had a number of very, very, very near misses. And this is when boats in the middle of the night, you can be looking out, you can see everything you're going up, and the windows are all awash with green water. You're crashing through everything, and then all of a sudden there's a little light right in front of you, and you got to get out of the way really quickly. And that getting out of the way really quickly is very difficult for big boats, and especially if you're towing a big barge, to do. So I'm not telling you not to do stuff. What I'm saying is, if you are out here, the first thing you should do is not count on everyone seeing you on radar. If it's rough, they're not going to see you until you're very close, and then it pops up as a more solid target. The farther you are away, it looks like it's just sea clutter. So I mean, and now there's going to be some of you couch captains out there that are going to say, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. Yeah, that's great, man. You do what you want. I'm just telling you, I've spent my life at sea, and we have to take radar courses all the time. We do all this sort of stuff. It's very difficult to see you guys when it's rough weather. So the first thing I would tell you is have it in your mind that just because we're out here, and just because we are professionals, and just because we have better equipment, doesn't mean that we still can see you. So any of you that are on the fence about spending $100, maybe $200 on a couple, buying a radar reflector, permanently attaching it, the higher the better. Because if you attach a radar reflector, I've seen some people that actually have a radar reflector say, oh, when it's nasty, I put it in my fishing rod holder. Man, that's right at the water line. I'm not going to see that if there's any sort of swell. You got to get up in the air so I can see it, even when you're in the trough, you know. So you need to put something up in your rigging so and anything will. The worst radar reflectors out there are better than no radar reflectors. All right, so that's a really big one. But I think what I was saying before is that you need to be cognizant that we don't see all and we don't know all. We are as human as you are, and that brings up another thing, and that's that I know you guys are all. I shouldn't generalize so much. Many people will deny this, but all you need to do is watch YouTube videos. And you can even watch it on my channel. I'm as guilty as anyone else is. When we're sailing and it's nice out there, a lot of times we have our back, we're looking aft. We're not looking forward. And those of us that are looking forward might have a mast in the way, might have a sail in the way. We might have our head right in the chart plotter. These are all things that take away from your situational awareness. But when it's nasty and you're in 5 to 8 foot and you're beaten to weather and you're boom, 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 it's nasty, there are some of you that like to go down below. And when you're down below, even if you have a repeater down there, I don't know how much you guys see. I really don't. I mean, like I say, that's to you. And there's some people who say, well, it's my life, I take my own risk. Yeah, you know what? That might be nice of you to say that and very bold, but I gotta tell you, and I don't know this firsthand, but I think about this. This is the stuff that haunts me. I don't want to go through the rest of my life knowing that I ran somebody over, maybe their whole family or whatever, and it was just because I couldn't see them. So I try to keep a vigilant watch. I mean, we are required to have adequate lookout, as are you. So anyway, I'm just telling you, look, sail the way you guys sail, but just know that we don't see a lot. And this brings me back full circle to the AIS point. Let me tell you a little story, and because of liability, I have to do this as if this, we're gonna have to pretend all this, all right? So imagine that you are a merchant mariner, a captain or a mate, and you've been sailing for 20, 25, 30 years. You've got a lot of experience, and you're down in the Caribbean and you're pounding into a head sea and it's you know, a good 8 foot. The radar is awash with sea clutter. If you dial all that sea clutter out, you don't get to see anything. You won't even see a super tanker if you dial it up too much. And it's very late at night. You haven't seen land for a watch, and you haven't seen any boats out here. Why would they be out there? It's miserable out here. You wouldn't want to be there anyway. And you look down at something that you're doing, or you think about this, you miss the wife and kids, whatever it is. You look out the window and you see a light. Hopefully it's one that's running away from you. It could be a green light, it could be a red light, or it could be a white light, it could be a green and red light. All those, if you instantly have to make a decision, is this a threat? Because it's very close. You didn't see it on radar, and now you're within 1/8 of a mile, and you guys are closing on each other. So you have to do something right away. Okay, that's the scenario that I want to paint for you. Then what I want you to think of is if you spent $100,000, or I'm thinking that a lot of the boats I see down here, I'm no broker, but I'm thinking they're all between $250,000 and $500,000 of the people that have, you know, people my age where the kids have moved, you know, gone through college, moved out, they bought a boat. That's what I've done. And so you have a substantial investment in this. And maybe they even have an AIS receiver. The problem is they're not getting any of that information because they might have their head in the bucket because they might be seasick, they might be down below doing something, or who knows what happens. But because they don't have a transponder, and because I can't see them on radar because it's really rough, they just blend in with the rest of the sea clutter. Had they had a transponder, you would see an AIS target show up miles away, and we could instantly figure out. I mean, if you had the whole screen awash with sea clutter, there's going to be one triangle, which is going to be the AIS target. So if you're going to be sailing oceans, stop being cheap. You spent all this money on your boat. If you have an AIS receiver, throw it out and go buy an AIS transceiver. They used to be thousands of dollars. I think that you could probably get them now for less than 500. I think in some cases even half of that maybe. But anyway, how much are you going to put a price on your life? This is real stuff, and I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I'm trying to appeal to you, because I can do everything right and still run you over, never meaning to. It's just nasty out here. So get yourself, first of all, get it in your head that we don't see you all the time. When it's rough out here, we don't see you. Second of all, get it in your head too that we are just as human as you are, and humans are not infallible. And then spend a little bit of money, like a fraction, you know, $100 on a good radar reflector. Spend your money on and make sure you have an AIS transceiver. With that, like I said, doesn't matter how rough it is, even if the whole radar is awash with sea clutter, that triangle is going to show up and let me know long before that I have to make a move. And especially if you're sailing and and it's blowing 25 or 30 and you're heeled over like that, your radar might not even be showing everything. They might not even show me because you're heeled over so much. Anyway, a lot of people have gimbals, people do stuff. That's all fine and dandy. Just get yourself an AIS transceiver and use it in conjunction with your radar. And that's what we have. Our radars have the AIS data both on the radar and on the chart plotter. So we have multiple ways of seeing you, whether it be visually, as a radar target, and as an AIS target. So that's my rant for today. Hopefully you like it. I know it's not exactly sailing stuff right here because I'm at work, but that's what you have to deal with. So anyway, be safe out there, and as always, I'll see you guys on the one.